Here's my blue steel look. Do you want to see it? That's not a good blue steel. It's really hot in here because it's summertime. I keep turning the air conditioner off because I don't want you to hear it because it would be... Anyway, if I look really shiny today, it's because I don't have the air conditioning on. Hey, Damon DiMarco here for CreateX3.com, and today I am going to be showing you how to operate an Olivetti Lettera 32 typewriter. This video is being done by request for one of my subscribers, Infinity Miracle, who says they just purchased their first Olivetti Lettera 32 and they want to know more about how to work it, and that's a great question. Thank you so much for watching. Here we go. The Olivetti 32 is one of my three favorite Olivetti typewriters. That includes the Olivetti Lettera 22, which is the predecessor to the 32, the Olivetti Lettera 32, perhaps the most famous of the three, and the Olivetti Studio 44. If you want to see a video about the differences between those typewriters, by all means, check this little banner right here and it'll take you a zoom right to it. But then come back here and watch this because this is a great video too. First thing you need to know about the Lettera 32 is that it's actually an ultra portable typewriter, meaning it's only 8.2 pounds, that operates like a portable typewriter, meaning it has full functionality. It has a tabulation key, it has a ribbon color switch. It's got everything that you would need on a fully functioning typewriter, and yet it only weighs 8.2 pounds, so that's pretty good. Olivetti typewriters have this really cool mechanism where the handle swings out. Okay, that's the handle to push the carriage aside and also to advance to the next paper line. It's a great design element. Let's pop the hood on this Olivetti Lettera 32 and see what's going on inside. You can see here that the spools for this typewriter, all Olivettis, are bespoke, meaning they will not fit other typewriters, and no other spools, universal spools as we like to call them, will fit this typewriter. Make sure that the typewriter that you order has an original set of Olivetti spools. Yes, you can buy them at other places like eBay and stuff, but it's probably going to cost you 50 bucks. Why would you want to go through that? You should have the original set of spools for this typewriter. How do you know if it's original? If when you hit the keys, the spool is advancing the ribbon, then it's an original one. The spools on the Olivetti typewriters also come with these nuts that hold these spools down onto the machine. Those also must be there, otherwise it's not going to work. Something to keep in mind when you order an Olivetti Lettera 32 typewriter or an Olivetti typewriter in general. This switch here to the left of the keyboard as you're facing in the typing position is your tensioning rod, and that, if you push it up and down, I believe it has 3 settings, will keep your keys looser or with more tension, depending on how you like the touch of the typewriter. At this point, my hands are like claws, so I like it really tense. But if you are younger, for instance, or maybe you're having some kind of hand trouble, or if you just like a lighter touch, any of these are appropriate reasons for just clicking that tensioning lever down. You can see here that the spring stretches and contracts according to the settings on the switch, and that pulls in the tensioning for the entire keyboard. So make sure you use that switch to make yourself more comfortable as you're working. Olivetti typewriters always have on the side a carriage lock mechanism, and you can see it here. It's a switch. You turn it up, you turn it down. That locks the carriage in place when it is centered. Okay, so if you're traveling with the typewriter, make sure that that switch is thrown. If you're typing on your typewriter and you're like, oh my God, the carriage isn't moving, the first thing you should do is check that switch. I've seen this happen a dozen times with people. They get all freaked out. They're like, oh my God, it's not moving. Flick the switch, okay? Make sure that it's not locked. The line spacing mechanism is over here on the left. You can have single space, double space, or triple space. Here's something interesting that a lot of people forget. On the left-hand carriage knob, if you press in that little indentation right there, that is your variable line spacer. So now the platen can turn freely in case you want to do not one space, but maybe half a space. You can variable line space it by pressing in, freeing up the carriage, and moving around that way. One thing people ask me continuously is, how come the left carriage release switch on an Olivetti is flat, but the right one, which is connected to it, it's the same switch, but it's on the right-hand side, has this swoop to it. Why is that? I don't know. That's just the way Olivetti did it. They've done it on all their machines, the 22, the 32, they all have that. It's this kind of an Italian design element, which basically says things don't always have to be the same. It's very, very cool to have a little slight differentiation in here. And at first it kind of bothered me because of my OCD, but then after a while I was It's like, no, this is exactly what it should be. I love it. I love it exactly for that reason, because it's very, very different, but it's the same. Here is your ribbon color selection switch. Note here how the ribbon on an Olivetti Lettera 32 goes around these posts right here on either side of the machine. That is the proper way to load your ribbon so that it goes through the machine the way that it should. Once you're finished taking a look at the insides of your typewriter, just pop the hood back on and you are pretty much ready to go. Here is the paper release on the side. When you pull that forward, you can rip the paper right out of the platen as if you're a news reporter working in the 1920s. One thing you want to keep in mind is that when you are not using your typewriter, make sure that you flick that paper release bail open, okay? That will keep the feed rollers, which you can see right in here, triggered by that switch, from flattening out by the repeated pressure against the platen. Okay, it's just a little trick. When you're not using your typewriter, keep that switch open, and that way the feed rollers will be released, and again, it should preserve your feed rollers for a little while longer. Of course, you have your paper stays, your rabbit ears on the back. Here is your backspace button. In this case, it is literally pointing the way the carriage will go when you press the backspace button. In other Olivettis, for some reason, it is pointing in the opposite direction, and I don't know why they ever did that. Because when you press the button, the carriage goes to the left. It should not be facing to the right. I don't know why they did that. Here are your margin settings right here. You can just kind of push on them and slide them to where you want them to go. I typically keep mine at about 0.75 inches on the left and maybe 0.75 inches on the right, so that I have not 1 inch standard margins, but I get a little bit more ink on the page per line, and that makes me happy. When you get to the end of your line, if the carriage stops and you want to keep typing, you hit the margin release switch, which is right up here in the upper left-hand side of your keyboard, and that will allow you to just keep right on typing. When you hit your margin release button, you'll see that the carriage kind of chicks as it is freed up to move, and then you can keep typing until your heart's content. You can see here when you've got to the end of your line, the carriage stops moving at precisely where you set your right-hand margin stop. Here is your shift key. You have one on the left and you have one on the right. That moves the basket, the type basket, the segment as it's sometimes called, up and down, which toggles the capital A and the lowercase a, or the capital B and the lowercase b, and so on. Here is your shift lock. If you want to keep that down and just type all capital letters, make sure you hit the shift lock key. Now this part is incredibly important. The big red button right here, what does it do? That is your tab key. When you want the carriage to go to set tabs, you push the red button and it slides over to wherever you have set your tabs. It's a tabulation key, that's what it does. So the question next that comes up is, how do you set your tabs and how do you clear your tabs? Well, I'll show you. Setting tabs and clearing tabs are all done from the same lever. To set a tab, push up. To clear a tab, push down. Suppose you want to set a tab. Hit your space bar until you come to the desired space on the carriage that you want to set the tab. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 is what I did. Now, use the lever on the left-hand side of the keyboard, push up, and that will set a tab for you. That's all you have to do. 5 more spaces, push up. That will set the tab. See? Simple. What if you want to clear those tabs? Very simple. Go to the beginning of the carriage, hit the tab key so that the carriage slides across to the first tab spot. Use the same lever on the side of the typewriter, only this time instead of pushing up, push down. That will clear the tab. Go to the next tab, hit the red key. If you want to clear this one, take the lever, push down. It's a beautiful, ingenious invention. It's on all Olivetti machines that I've ever seen. The Lettera 22, the Lettera 32, the Studio 44. I love this about them. Very, very simple to use device, and I hope that you get a lot of mileage out of it. What else do you need to know about the Lettera 32? Well, the cases on these machines don't always weather very well. You know, they're, what are they now? 50, 60 years old. And so a lot of the times what I've seen is that the zipper just has torn itself out, or there's dry rot on the inside of the case. So when you're thinking of purchasing an Olivetti Lettera 32, you probably want to have a case so that you can travel with it if you're like me. I travel with mine all the time. Make sure that the case, just know what condition the case is in. Again, you might find a case and there's no zipper on it. You might be able to find somebody, a leather worker, a shoemaker, somebody like that who knows the proper way to get a zipper onto that kind of material. It's very thick material. But that's definitely something that you want to check out when you're purchasing machine, especially online, when a lot of times people say, you know, oh yeah, it's in good condition. No, it's not. You want to make sure that you have a good case that comes with your Olivetti Lettera 32. As far as keeping your machine clean, what should you do with it? Very, very simple. Practically nothing. If you're like Cormac McCarthy, who used his Olivetti Lettera 32 for, I believe, 46 years and wrote practically all of his books and novels and plays on it and that sort of thing, all he said he ever did with his Olivetti Lettera 32 is take it to the filling station a couple of times and use the air hose and blow air through it to get all the dust and particles and dried up ink and stuff out of there. That's pretty much all you need to do with an Olivetti Lettera 32. It's pretty much all you need to do with most typewriters that have been given good care and attention over the years. The best thing you can do for your typewriter, if you want to keep it in good shape, is use it. The tolerances are manufactured, so you shouldn't have to use any oil, and if you do, the lightest amount possible. I have a video for that, so you can take a look at it over here if you want. But wipe it every once in a while, you know, maybe with a little alcohol to just kind of keep it clean, especially when you get a lot of oils on your hands. You might want to have the platen resurfaced, depending on how hard it's gotten over the years, or the feed rollers. I've actually done videos about it, so you can check out my video on where I changed the platen on a Smith Corona Skywriter, and that'll pretty much show you how that's done. So that's it for how to care for and use your Olivetti Lettera 32. Again, for createx3.com, my name is Damon DiMarco. Thank you so much for watching. Please remember to hit subscribe, which is somewhere here on the screen. It really helps me out when you do that. If you're interested in hearing more about what we're doing, go to createx3.com and subscribe to our free newsletter. I promise you I will not inundate you with material, but every once in a couple of weeks or so, I'll send out a little thing about what we're doing. Again, thanks for watching, and stay happy, stay healthy, and stay creative.